Hi guys, so if you want to talk about climate change, you should speak to a climate scientist. If you want to talk about the economy, you should generally speak to an economist. So when it comes to Scotland, who do you think Gammon Brexit News decided to speak to? A right-wing English nationalist, that's who. But she's also a journalist, it seems. Well, she writes articles for the pro-Tory Telegraph. Anyway, she was asked why Nicola Sturgeon, Scotland's First Minister, is so popular, and at first she says she doesn't know why, but that didn't stop her from having an opinion.
I mean, I'm old enough to remember when you had Labour voters, Lib Dem voters, SNP voters, and we all just came along. And when there was an election, you just accepted the result. What's changed?
I have absolutely no idea. I'm a swing voter. I think I voted for everybody at some point.
I find that difficult to believe, but maybe she's telling the truth.
Trying to find one of them to believe in. They all disappoint me, and then I don't vote for them again. But the popularity of Nicola Sturgeon really baffles me. The unpopularity of the BBC doesn't at all. I think a lot of people absolutely despise the BBC. They just don't say so in public. And
many people despise the BBC, but they don't say it in public. Why? If somebody told me I despise the BBC, my first question would be, why? And of course they would regurgitate something that they heard on GB News, or they would regurgitate something they read in the Daily Mail. They wouldn't actually have an opinion of their own.
Obviously, there's no reason for abusing this poor woman, but there's definitely, the BBC. There's legitimate criticisms to be had of the BBC, and
such as, I'd love to hear them, legitimate ones, not right-wing talking points.
In certain senses. But Nicola Sturgeon, I wrote a Mail Plus column about this actually. I find it absolutely baffling that the Scots are so behind her, which they seem to be. They say this in all the opinion polls.
Once again, you have an English nationalist, Brexit supporter, who doesn't understand why the Scots support Nicola Sturgeon. Wouldn't you, if you were writing an article about why the Scottish people support Nicola Sturgeon, wouldn't you actually go to Scotland and meet with them and ask them, why do you support Nicola Sturgeon? Not ask the people who don't support her, ask the people who do support her. And then you wouldn't be writing articles with a conclusion of, I don't know why they support her.
She's made an absolute mess of everything, as far as I can tell. And in terms of COVID, I mean, I think people long for the kind of this COVID authoritarian. Remainers in London just love the idea that she wants to force the whole of Scotland to be in masks forever.
Okay, she's managed to inject Brexit, Remainers in London. Remainers in London. So she's managed to inject Brexit into a discussion about why Nicola Sturgeon is popular in Scotland, and she started out by saying, I don't know why. She wrote an article about why Nicola Sturgeon is popular in Scotland with the conclusion, I don't know why. And this is a journalist. As much a journalist as I'm a journalist. But the fact that you can inject Brexit into this, Remainers in London support Nicola Sturgeon because she wants to impose a mask mandate forever. Are these people serious? I know this show is hosted by a comedian. The guy on the left is a comedian, okay? So are all of these people comedians?
But she's forcing kids up there to sit in classrooms with the windows open in the middle of winter. And then she came up with this ridiculous plan to spend $5 million to improve ventilation.
Now do you understand why people like her, why she's popular? Because she actually cares about people. She's investing government money in ventilation in schools because it will save people. It will save lives. Do you understand now why she's popular? Compare that with the Tories. Compare that with Boris Johnson, who's banging on about how the economy is open and everything, even though cases are still quite high. Do you understand the difference here? I don't think it's that difficult. And you can apply that to pretty much anything. In England, under the Tory government, they are taking away support for example, poor people. While in Scotland, they are providing more support for poor people. Do you understand now the difference? Do you understand why Nicola Sturgeon is popular?
And including £300,000 on cutting the bottoms off the doors.
I don't know about that, but if that's part of ventilation, how many doors are there in how many schools are there in all of Scotland? So there is a cost related to that. improving ventilation. I know you have a problem with this because of the whole pandemic thing, and this is GB News, who are, let's say, on one side of the debate when it comes to the pandemic. Okay, we understand that. But Nicola Sturgeon is popular because she's seen as a leader who actually cares about people.
And this is just nonsense. It's a colossal waste of money, and I just don't...
This is a Brexiteer talking. This is a Brexiteer talking about how this is a colossal waste of money. How has the economy suffered? Well, we shouldn't actually talk about the economy because I'm not an economist and you're not an economist. But we can see how the economy is suffering because of Brexit, because we can rely on the experts. So we shouldn't rely on people like yourself because you're not an expert. How do these people get these jobs? Really, that's my question at the end of the day here. They have no authority to criticise Nicola Sturgeon. It seems she hasn't gone to Scotland and actually spoken to people because her response was, I have no idea. If you actually went to Scotland, spoke to people there, you don't even have to go. You can organise something on Zoom. You have access to the Daily Mail. You have access to the Telegraph. Surely they have some resources that they could provide you in accessing. I don't have these resources. And I understand that most of the people who support Nicola Sturgeon, it's because they believe she cares about people. The policies she's put in place are the polar opposite of the Conservative Party. And her support is growing. You don't understand that? Well, maybe you should actually go to Scotland and find out. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.